I'll say one that is not terrible, but it's something that you have to kind of keep in mind when you're doing these. And it's kind of option deals that have an option fee for very little money up front, like the option fee is $1, where you're giving this production company kind of the exclusive right to purchase the screenplay, but they're not having to pay for that exclusivity. So you're locked out of doing anything with your screenplay for 18 months or approaching other production companies when they paid nothing up front. That can be a really cheap option agreement. Sometimes it's also called like a shopping agreement, where you are granting them this exclusivity for them to go out and take it to market, and they're not having to put any skin in the game. That's kind of a common deal where if you're able to, like, you are going to either want to negotiate a higher option fee or really evaluate if you want to work with that production company themselves. They might have a very viable reason for doing that. They might not, and just want the cheap exclusivity onto that screenplay. Another clause that typically will not come in a deal that you are going to have to specifically ask for is what we call a reversion clause, which basically says, now this production company has paid their purchase price, so now they own all the rights and the copyright into the screenplay. A reversion clause says, hey, production company, even though you paid the purchase price, you have to go into production and use the screenplay within a negotiated amount of time, 2 to 4 years after you pay the purchase price. Otherwise, the rights to the screenplay revert back to me, the writer, and I can take them elsewhere. And that's to kind of prevent a production company who might have many, many scripts, or a studio that might have a bunch of scripts and they're really purchasing yours cheaply because they have another screenplay that they really like, which is very similar in scope, and they don't want someone else producing it. So they're telling you they're going to produce it, and they pay you the purchase price, and then it sits on the shelf for 30, 40 years, and you have no ability to ever kind of exploit that as the writer. So something you might want to ask for is that reversion clause in order for those rights to revert back to you at the end of the day, if they're not making any steps to progress to production. It can be more common than you think, and it's something that they won't typically come out with in their initial deal. Like if you're just negotiating with them and they send you a long form agreement, it's not going to be something that they pro-offer in there because it's not beneficial to them. It's something you as the writer are going to have to actually ask for.